in Newi. There were videos and pictures released, that showed the damage that was done to his home. It's popularly called country home in Newi. And of course, it raised a lot of conversations as to what exactly is going on in the southeast. A lot of people haven't healed from the killing and the death of Chike Akunyili and many others who have also suffered from the insecurity challenges that the Southeast is currently witnessing. And so this, brought back those conversations and also, made people question whether this truly was an attack on Joe Igbokwe himself by the IPOB or by the unknown gunmen in the Southeast or the Eastern Security Network or those who might be masquerading as IPOB. There have been different angles. And of course, Joe Igbokwe himself put out statements on the social media page showing CCTV footage of persons unloading what he called or what he said was petrol from a vehicle, a Sienna vehicle, in his compound just before the fire incident. And so he, according to Joe Igbokwe, said that these are IPOB members and, they are to blame. The IPOB has not released a statement yet, and of course, the conversations have continued to go left and right. If you remember, not long ago, a couple of days ago, I believe, Joe Igbokwe was in the news, after he addressed the press conference calling for a state of emergency in the Southeast to address the security challenges that the Southeast is currently dealing with after the killing of Dr. Chike Akunyili. I think that was the trigger, that of course led Joe Igbokwe to call for a state of emergency in the Southeast. I got to see some of the response, to that. There's people who said, well, we haven't heard him call for a state of emergency in other parts of the country where, the insecurity challenges have been worse. But I would always say, to people like that, a person would most likely always start from home, and it is where they are most concerned that they would speak on, and there's people and leaders and political analysts and voices in the North, that should call for a state of emergency if they need it. Let Joe Igbokwe call for a state of emergency in the Southeast if he believes that that's where it is currently needed. He can't necessarily, speak for the whole country. But anyway, it was, a couple of days ago that he made those statements and, over the weekend had his home attacked. And of course, all fingers and all eyes point towards the IPOB and, whoever it is that have continued to wreak havoc and cause security challenges in the Southeast. Mostly because the IPOB themselves have not been able to outrightly point out, that they are not responsible for some of these things. And that includes the killing of Chike Akunyili. When they put out a statement saying that, they're not responsible and they don't know Chike Akunyili and they have no business with him, yes, that might seem like the reasonable statement to put out. But until they're able to also point out, and prove that some of these elements that are running wild in the Southeast are maybe just mere criminals, and people who have taken advantage of the weak security infrastructure in the Southeast, or maybe, and of course you might see every now and then people say that these acts are committed by the DSS to try to paint the IPOB bad and some, other conspiracy theory like that. But it's still up to the IPOB to ensure that, that they prove to the people that these are not their members, because they will continue to be blamed. And, no one is going to be shocked when they hear that, oh, the IPOB has done this or done that. Sometime last week, I had seen a video on social media where there's maybe about 8 or 10 of them fully armed in about 3 vehicles were, driving somewhere around the Southeast. I'm not sure what state that was, if it was in Anambra or it was in, Imo. I'm not sure what state it was, but they were holding weapons, they were, releasing shots into the air. And there were a couple of people, who were making those videos and who were cheering them on, people walking by and cheering them on and saying, you are doing well and some nonsense like that, which was really, really heartbreaking. And I've also gotten to see people, point out that, yes, you might look at them, because this is mostly the way that little militant groups here and there across the world start. You might look at them, because that's the narrative that has been sold, that they're here to save you and they're here to rescue the Southeast and they're here to, do some of all of that, Robin Hood, narrative. But eventually, the people of the Southeast will continue to bear the brunt of the high-handedness of these criminals, because that's exactly what they are, and that's what they've turned out to be, criminals. And it's important, very likely, I think sometime today or this week, there's going to be a meeting of the Southeast governors and traditional rulers and Ohaneze and Igbo. Conversations need to be had as to what must be done to curtail what is seeming to be a new terrorist group brewing in the Southeast. And that is mostly just because of lack of control. I don't think, and of course my opinion may not be very valid, but I don't think it's necessarily being sponsored, by anybody to try to start up some insurrection. I think it's really just persons who have taken advantage of the weak security infrastructure, and they've taken advantage of, the fact that, yes, there's a couple of them who are angry with the way Nigeria has been run in the last couple of years, and so they've continued to run wild. But whatever the narrative is, there would always and there will continue to be victims of these persons that are not even necessarily, the people that they are upset with. People of the Southeast will be victims. On Monday, I'm sure that today, there's still going to be places in the Southeast that would be shut down because they fear the IPOB's, reaction to them on being on the streets when there's meant to be a sit at home. All of these conversations are very, very important, and there will continue to be victims. 2 weeks ago, I started saying, do not let Nigeria happen to you, regardless of how much you believe in the country and how much you love the country. Do not let Nigeria happen to you. Joey Bokwe, unfortunately, is one of those who has had to suffer, what Nigeria is in the Southeast, because you would expect that after a situation like this, there would be CCTV footage. There would be, possibility of identifying these arsonists and these people who have caused destruction to his home. There would be security, efforts, to ensure that these people are arrested. But what is the likelihood of these persons being arrested? If we're looking at what has happened in the last 1 year and seeing other incidents, and that includes finding out the killers of Chike Akunyili. What is the likelihood that the Nigerian security apparatus would be able to identify these persons and ensure that justice is served? It's a really, really sad situation, and regardless of who it is that it happens to, it is still a crime. Whether it is a pro-IPOB person or an anti-IPOB person, pro-Southeast, anti-Southeast, regardless of who it is, these are still crimes that must stop. The high-handedness, the recklessness, the destruction that are being caused by these elements that, the IPOB continues to put out these weak statements in denying, the high-handedness of these persons must be checkmated. And I hope that whatever conversations that the Southeast governors and Ohaneze and, traditional rulership in the Southeast have are geared towards finding ways, with which these things must be addressed. If you remember, not long ago, we had a conversation with one of the leaders of the IPOB, Ohaneze, worldwide, sorry. And, he eventually hung up on us, because I was trying to find out from him who exactly is in charge of the Southeast. Is it currently the IPOB? Is it the governors? Is it the traditional rulers? Is it Ohaneze and Igbo? Who exactly would be able to rein in these little pockets of violence here and there that are affecting people of the Southeast? We hope that these conversations are had and, there are some answers. Moving away from Joey Bokwe's, house being burnt, over the weekend, a groomsman was sent out of church, allegedly sent out of church, for wearing earrings. And this is one of the things that trended the most over the weekend. He posted pictures online, and of course stated that he went, of course, for his friend's wedding. He was a groomsman at his friend's wedding, and he was asked to leave for simply wearing earring. And he goes on to say, shout out to the Nigerian Christianity and hope they have fine dining restaurants in hell. And to the team, do it for your friend. The friend escorted me out while we laughed about it. He snapped pictures and I posted it and says, see you at the reception, and some of all of that he posted. He basically created a narrative, that said that, the Nigerian Christian community is very, very judgmental, and, they refused him, being in the church for wearing earrings. At first, of course, this, started with those who joined in the bandwagon of those who say, well, it's very, very wrong, and there's no a part of the Bible that, that states that a man should not wear earrings and some of all of that. And there's also those who pointed out, the fact that Christ always preached, that, people, are welcome. Come to me, regardless of how you are. He even invited prostitutes into the temple, some of all of that. But the Nigerian Christian doesn't seem to accommodate some of all of that, and they are very, very judgmental. I remember a couple of years ago in Benin City, there was a church called Church Unusual, and became very, very popular, mostly because it didn't have a dress code, and people could come exactly how they were. They could leave the club on Saturday night and come straight to church. They could wear mini skirts. They could wear, revealing clothes and come to church. And that's what made the church very, very popular in Benin City back then. I don't know where they are currently, but it was one of the, most popular churches many, many years ago, maybe about 10 years ago in Benin City. But of course, that was, their idea of welcoming everybody, into the church. The reason this became controversial, and most of the views concerning this were, like I've stated, does the Nigerian Christian, the Nigerian Christian, are they too judgmental? Do they do more than what Christ would have done? Do they immediately judge a person, who doesn't fit into their narrative of what a Christian should look like? Do they, create these, pictures and these images mentally of what a Christian should look like? Don't wear earrings, don't have tattoos, don't dress, shabbily or anything like that. You must wear a suit and you must dress responsibly for you to be seen and respected as a Christian. And I personally have always, spoken about how people should have a personal relationship with their God, regardless of what they want to dress like or who they want to look like. But they should have a personal relationship with their God and not be judgmental. But the challenge here, of course, was how many other people see it. So there's many, many angles to this. There's those who also pointed out that places have rules. There are clubs in Nigeria, in Lagos, in Abuja, that you go to that you can't wear slippers. You have to wear shoes. And when people go to these places, they respect these rules. And of course, before they enter, they find a shoe and wear. If they're not dressed enough or dressed appropriately for that nightclub, they would, go change clothes and dress, more. To fit into what the nightclub wants. And nobody complains about that. There's restaurants who don't want you dressing shabby here in Lagos. And if you are dressed, a little shabbily, they would not let you entry. And of course, people always adhere to those things. So why is it a problem when a church says, we wouldn't like to see a man wearing earrings in our church? Why can't we just adhere to those very simple rules? In a mosque, of course, you can't wear your shoes into a mosque. Nobody complains, and if this same person, I'm just basically sharing a lot of comments that I saw, that if this same young man was to go to a mosque, he will leave his shoes outside. Nobody needs to tell him that he needs to take off his shoes or take off his slippers before going in. And so why is the Nigerian Christian, and why is, Nigeria's social media space always very antagonistic at, Christianity and Christians and the rules that they have with the church? If you remember, we've had many conversations about pastors buying cars or buying jets and some of all of that, and people trying to dictate how a pastor should use his money and how he should spend his own money or the money that he earns from the church. Should he buy a private jet or not? And these are some of the things that have created many conversations before. Why is the Nigerian social media space so antagonistic towards, the church? Why do they want to create their own rules to accommodate their own preferences, for, the Christian community and for the church? And someone also pointed out that one of the things, and I'm going to go back to some of the statements that I made earlier, someone also pointed out that one of the reasons why this was bad is because the same stereotyping, that Nigerians have complained about with the police and with the EFCC and with whoever it is, security agents, that see someone, with dreadlocks or with dyed hair or with tattoos or with earrings, and they immediately profile you and call you a criminal, is pretty much the same thing that the church had done according to this story. I'd also quickly point out that, there's people who also posted pictures to show that, the young man's story was false and they were just searching for attention or clout. But that's a totally different conversation. Thanks very much once again for joining us. Regardless of how you see it, of course, your views are always welcome. You can send us a message on our social media platforms. It's pretty simple, at PlusTvAfrica on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Same with our YouTube channel. And let us know what you think about the Nigerian Christian and how welcoming they are, or they should be. And at the same time, do you think people should really just respect simple rules of being in an establishment? Stay with us. When we come back, Tunde Kolawole will be joining us for Off the Press, and where we get to have a quick review of the stories making headlines this morning.
For me, I wanted to change that culture. I didn't believe that until you see a white man or you see a foreigner in the kitchen before you can believe that, good food is going to come out of that kitchen.
You can leverage on each other's spaces and, sell. We believe in Nigeria, right? We believe that Nigeria can get better. We, the youth, are the ones that can make it better.
And my products are proudly made in Nigeria.
Made in Nigeria, Showing every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. and repeats on Saturday at 8:30 a.m.
And welcome once again to the breakfast here on Plus TV Africa. And now let's go through the newspapers and see what major stories have made the headlines this morning. We're going to be introducing our guests right after that. We're starting this morning with the Punch newspapers. And the big one there says, anti-open grazing law. Federal government backs herders' planned suit against South governors, and police differ on enforcement. Nigerians whose rights are violated can go to court, says AGF office. Law difficult to enforce without force headquarters backing, says the police. Also on the Punch this morning, COVID-19, World Bank approves $11.5 billion for Nigeria and others. AGF, Kaduna and others may face Lagos and Rivers on value-added tax appeal. Senate, senior advocates disagree over INEC's power on e-transmission of results. Also on the Punch, Buhari lands in Addis Ababa for Ethiopia's Prime Minister's inauguration. Man carrying gun in viral video, Army Rector, not Defense Minister, says an aide. And also 4 Lagos church worshippers killed, the mountain flag as electricity cable snaps. Army begins 3 special operations against kidnapping, banditry and others. And also, Ondo lecturer kidnapped on deplorable Akure-Ado Highway. Abductors demand 10 million naira. Anambra killings, 2 gunned down, DSS office burnt, teaching hospital invaded. And that's most of the stories we've taken on the Punch this morning. Let's see what we can find on the leadership newspapers. It says there, tension in Southeast as gunmen set DSS, FRSC offices and vehicles ablaze. Joe Igbekwe's Nnewi residence also burnt. 5 killed in Kaduna and Anambra. Military begins new offensive in southern states, Benue, and troops repel attack on repentant terrorists. We can also find on the leadership this morning, vandalism threatens vessel safety on Nigerian waters. Opposition unfair to APC and PNB, says PGF. And 2023 value-added tax top agenda of Southeast Governors meeting. We can also find on the leadership this morning, CBN to boost wheat production. And Laddie Williams dies of COVID-19 at 74. Moving on from the leadership, let's see what we can find on the daily independent newspapers. It says here, Nigeria can raise $1 trillion from securitized assets. Analysts say it shouldn't have borrowed. Forex ban on 41 items, misplaced priorities. Tension in the PDP over new zoning plan. Stakeholders move against governors. North Central to produce national chairman. And it says also how Makinde and other governors swayed PDP chairmanship to North. We can also find here, NEC may throw open presidential ticket this week. 2023, Yahya Bello Dom's presidential bid lobbies APC leaders for VP slot. And also 2023 presidential ticket threatening APC's unity, says the DG of PGF. Value-added tax, Adamawa, Kaduna, Plateau back FIRS to join in appeal against Rivers and Lagos. And I think we can quickly squeeze in the Daily Trust newspapers lastly. Ghanaians resume hostility against Nigerian traders. 3,000 businessmen threatened, over 3 billion naira lost. And says government must act on legal, political, and economic technicalities. The Diaspora Commission says we are not aware of recent onslaught. Anambra politicians go into hiding as IPOB unleashes terror. And also worry over acute shortage of airworthiness inspectors in airports. VAT roll, more northern states team up with the FIRS. All right, these are the big ones that we can find on the papers this morning. We'll say good morning to Mr. Tunde Kolawole. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, my brother. How was the weekend?
It was fantastic. Thanks for joining us on the Monday
All right,
morning.
is your sister by your side?
No, she's not. I'm all by myself this morning.
Okay.
All right. So
let's go
let's
and
start.
let's
Let's start the conversation with something that I just read on the Daily Trust. It says Anambra politicians go into hiding as IPOB unleashes terror. Let's start with that. There was also news of Joe Igbokwe's house getting attacked and burnt in Nnewi over the weekend. And of course, the DSS and FRSC facilities also set ablaze. Let's start with what's going on in the Southeast.
Yeah, honestly speaking, what is going on in the Southeast is a very frightening thing. It's a thing that most Nigerians would not wish that will happen. It also portends very, very serious danger, not just to the Nigerian nation, but to the people in the Southeast. In fact, it's where today my heart is bleeding for the people in the Southeast. They hardly can engage in their normal commercial activities. Farmers cannot go to the farm. Children have been denied the opportunity to sit for their NEFL exam. These are not what we wish for any community to start experiencing. That is a very difficult time for us as a people. But you see, the people in authority, the politicians at the local government level, at the federal government level, and the state level are not helping matters. Rather than engaging in dialogue, they are beating the drums of war. You take, for example, the speech that was delivered by Mr. President on the 61st independence anniversary of the country. In my humble opinion, that speech is not conciliatory at all. That speech doesn't look like the federal government is ready to go into negotiation and dialogue and find solutions to what is happening in the Southeast. And I've said it times without number, the challenges that we have in the Southeast is not for any of the Nigerian courts to handle or solve or to provide solutions for, or to adjudicate upon. I also do know from my reading of history that military solution or the deployment of military arsenal to stamp out the activities of whoever may be engaged in the skirmishes that we have in the Southeast is never a solution at all. And the graphic example to be found in Afghanistan, for more than 20 years, all the big powers went to Afghanistan, took on the ragtag Taliban army, and they were randomly defeated. The Soviet Union was defeated, America has been defeated, the European Union has been defeated. It is not the might of your army and the weapon that your army carries that will give you victory. The path to peace in the Southeast is on the negotiation table. And earlier the federal government and the politicians who have been so anchored in saying that they will stamp out, they will ruthlessly deal, they will teach them the language they understand, will sooner than later find out that they are just daydreaming. Look at even the Boko Haram insurgency. It's been 10 years now. Have we been able to wipe them out? Have we been able to find solutions to that challenge? Please and please, let's go to the negotiation table. A referendum in the party will be the most appropriate thing to do for now.
All right, but I want you to speak on, why, because from what the Daily Trust reports, it says Anambra politicians go into hiding. Do you think that this might be, the direction might be changing, and it seems like it's an attack on politicians and people who seem to be beneficiaries of government? Because, of course, if you look at the attack on Chike Akunyili, and also, his very, very sad killing, and also, there's some other politician who was attacked also in Nnewi Ongpo, also sometime last week. The video clips of his Toyota Hilux, that had been damaged. Do you see this as a different narrative entirely?
Well, it is unfortunate some of those attacks that you have mentioned. Say, for example, the attack on Dr. Akili. To the best of my knowledge, Dr. Akili is not a politician. He is a medical practitioner and a philanthropist, and a man who is very, very committed to the Igbo cause. So, if you have that kind of a man being cheaply killed, and I was told he was still alongside some other 8 people after he was coming back from where he went to receive an award, a posthumous award, on behalf of the wife. This death could be described as a kind of collateral damage. It may not have been the intended target as those who killed him, but you find that when mayhem, when bandits, such as we are seeing the Southeast is going on, at least anybody safe, because those who are carrying out this attack will not ask you questions before they unleash mayhem on you. For some of these other politicians like Igbo Kwe and the rest of them, you and I, if you have been reading their utterances and all that, you will realize that they have been making very, very inflammatory speeches. But this is not to say that whoever may be behind this mayhem should go on burning the properties of those who are opposed to their cause. Because what is happening in the Southeast today will be likened to a kind of self-destruction. If you start burning your own property, if you start denying your own people access to their farms, access to their markets and all that, you are in a way already weakening them before even external foes come to take them out. That is not a good strategy for you to get whatever goal or to reach whatever destination that you are trying to be. So for that reason, I will want to say that whoever may be behind this should please stop the attack on the individuals, even on institutions. Dr. Martin Luther King and Gandhi in India have taught us that it is possible to achieve whatever goals that we want to achieve, especially the goals of independence, especially the goals of freedom, especially the goals of justice, without engaging in violence. And what does it profit a man when you set your own house on fire just because you merely want to kill a rat or a rodent that has been disturbing you within that house? So to that extent, I am not in support of the attack on this private individual. But it is not impossible that there are certain policies that are trying to ensure that they cripple all the state infrastructure and facilities in the Southeast so that it becomes impossible to hold an election in Anambra State and in the Southeast in 2023. Because certain forces have never hidden their desire to ensure that this 2023 and the forthcoming Anambra election does not take place. And it's not peculiar to the Southeast alone. I have seen even the Afghanistan leader saying that, look, election is not the main issue now. What we should sit down to do is to negotiate and restructure the country before we start talking about election. For the Joey Bokwe of this world, I have my sympathies to them. For some other, for the Akili family, my sympathies to them too. But for Joey Bokwe in particular, he should please not add fuel to the flame that is already burning in the Southeast with his inflammatory utterances.
Okay, all right. We'll move away from security challenges now. We might come back. But let's now move to the value-added tax controversy. It says on the Daily Independent, Adamawa, Kaduna, and Plateau back FIRS, and of course to join in appeal against Rivers and Lagos. I believe your state has also, tried to get itself involved in that suit also. But, let's get your views on that one. It's starting to seem like it is a northern states against, the southern states in the suit concerning value-added tax.
It is shocking to me what is happening in the area of this value-added tax. I would think that if Lagos State, if River State wants to start collecting their own VAT, the other states should be happy and should also be enthusiastic to be able to be collecting their own VAT too, and then probably paying a percentage. So the center to the federal government. But there are certain states in the north are opposed to the moves that are made by Rivers State and the moves that are made by Lagos State. Gives out the signal that the vast issue that we are talking about, that it is not being distributed on merit. That certain provinces have advantage or certain states have advantage over some of these other states where the bulk of the VAT is being generated. Otherwise, why would they be opposed to states collecting VAT, just like the personal income tax? After all, if what Lagos and Rivers State are doing eventually scales through at the end in the Supreme Court, as I expect that it will end up in the Supreme Court, all the states are likely to benefit. Because in my humble opinion, like I've always said, there is no state that is not viable in Nigeria. The challenge has always been that certain persons or certain states have been too indolent in engaging in very rigorous collection and mapping out strategies for a viable internally generated revenue. Everybody is comfortable with the handout that is coming from Abuja, with the handout that is coming from the petroleum space in the international market, with the value added that is coming from some of these states and all that. And we can't continue like that as a nation, for example, for forever. For example, oil is no longer selling as it used to sell in the international market because the whole world is now looking at alternative energy, clean energy, not fossil fuel. So why would any of the states in the north be opposed to this? It baffles me as a person. And more importantly too, the issue of fact, in my humble opinion, just like the challenges that we have in the southeast, is not also a matter for the court to decide. Not at all. And I would have expected the federal government with the state government to set up a committee of experts to review, to look at these problems of VAT and make recommendations that will be to the benefit of every person. Because when you say you go to court, are the people in court experts in economics or taxation? These are laymen who know the principles of law. At best, they might ask an amicus curiae from experts to come and address them. And by the time those amicus curiae experts come to address the Supreme Court, even the Court of Appeal, they are speaking economic language, which the court will not understand. At the end of the day, we won't find an amicable solution to this problem, and it will be lingering on for so long, undermining the peace and stability of the nation. So, I would appeal to the federal government to quickly set up a committee of experts comprising of economics, lawyers, sociology, social scientists, tax experts, and welfare people who will be able to advise the government and make adequate proposals as regards how the issue of this VAT can be adequately resolved in the best interest of both the federal government, the state government, and even the local government. As it is today, there is no justice in the collection and distribution of VAT. And we need equity, we need justice. We need to do whatever is right for all the states to be able to stand alone without depending or leaning on any other state or relying on the handout that is come from petroleum resources that is distributed on a monthly basis in Abuja.
Well, we'll see how it goes. I think, this is really just mostly about the interpretation of what the Constitution says, and what steps must be taken after. But of course, we'll follow up and see where this leads us. Let's now go to Kogi State, where Governor Yahaya Bello is in the news this morning on the Daily Independent still. It says Yahaya Bello dumps presidential ambition and, of course, is lobbying to be made vice president. It says, I'm yet to make my ambition known, says the governor. So, of course, quickly share your thoughts on that one. It's on the bottom left of the Daily Independent. It says that 2023, Yahaya Bello dumps presidential bid, lobbies APC leaders for VP slot. What are your thoughts, Mr. Kolawole?
Honestly speaking, each time I read about Yahaya Bello in the paper, when I see him on television, pontificating on good governance and trying to convince Nigerians or telling Nigerians business ambition to be president or vice president, my heart bleeds. Yaya Bello also reminds me of Fayose during his first time as a governor. Yaya Bello reminds me of Bukola Saraki as the governor of Kwara State. Here are people who are well educated. Here are people who are well traveled. Here are people who are so young, who all of us at hope will play politics the way it should be played. Here are people that will think will be able to bring development and enlightenment into governance into this country. But lo and behold, they have all failed us and given a ridicule to the not too young to rule a strategy and programs and campaigns and even law that have been passed to allow more younger people to come into governance. Yaya Bello has been governor for more than 4 years now. What can you really point at in Kogi State as the giant developmental site that he has brought to that place? The pensioners are not being paid. Salaries are not being paid. In fact, civil servants are committed suicide because their salaries were not paid. Infrastructural development is nil. My friend, the friend that I have in Lokoja, he tells me, and most time Yaya Bello is never in Lokoja. He resides in Abuja, from where he's ruling Kogi. He rules Kogi from Abuja. He is more interested in his personal ambition and nothing with the Panikai days of this world, and then the active chairman of the APC, rather than face the challenges of governance in Kogi State. So if a man has performed that poorly, what is he bringing on the table? What is the credentials? What is the banner? What is the achievement?
There's many people who would argue.
Our very eyes to say, look, this and this are what I've done in Kogi State as governor.
Mr.
And for this reason, you should vote for me as a maybe president, or let me run as a vice president on the platform of our political party.
Mr. Kolawole, kindly hold on. Let me quickly step in here.
It's a monumental tragedy.
To Kolawole, let me quickly step in here. I understand that we have a very, as Nigerians, a very flawed method of, scoring performance of governance. People see roads and flyovers and, a few bridges here and there and, and give kudos to a government for trying, which is really, really flawed. But, there's still people who would argue that Yaya Bello has not been entirely bad for Kogi State, and he seems to have, done some work. And of course, you also mentioned pensions just now. There's not very many reports of pensioners being owed in Kogi State. Just to point that out, and of course, you can continue with your thoughts.
Yaya Bello is more active on the pages of newspapers and on television and radio than in actual governance in Kogi State. Honestly speaking, it is you media people that have been paying attention to Yaya Bello. He is a man that we ordinarily should ignore. Honestly, he could be I just look at him as a comedian, not too different from Ali Baba, a joker. I don't enjoy discussing Yaya Bello. This is a monumental tragedy, in my humble opinion.
Okay, all right. Let's move away from Nigeria now and look at what issues seem to be creeping up in Ghana. On the Daily Trust, it says Ghanaians resume hostility against Nigerian traders. 3,000 businesses threatened, over 3 billion naira lost. It says government must act on legal and political and economic technicalities. The Diaspora Commission says we're not aware of recent onslaught. Mr. Kolawole, it seems we're back to these times again, from South Africa to Ghana, where Nigerians, and of course Nigerians living in those countries, might be dealing with some form of xenophobia.
I will extract my own conversation from the South Africa that you have mentioned. You and I are aware that there is no love lost between the people of South Africa and the Nigerian businessmen in South Africa, despite the fact that Nigeria put all its resources, energy, and international connection diplomacy to ensure that South Africa got independence. Immediately they became independent. From Nigeria relocated there and started doing businesses. But lo and behold, there has been a very huge distrust between the Nigerian people in South Africa and then the indigenous community. Now the same thing is happening in Ghana. The question we now require to ask ourselves is this: why is it that we are hated in Ghana? That they treated us like a dog. They were killing us like dogs infected with a rabies. And now the same thing is repeating itself in Ghana today. If we were applying our faith in the manner in which it should be applied, will we be that despised as we were despised in Ghana and now and also despised in South Africa? We also go to some other African countries, West Africa and Benin Republic, for example, too. I'm also told that there is no love lost between Nigerian businessmen in there and then the whole community. If there are things that we are not doing right, for God's sake, we as Nigerians, we should continue to correct some of those mistakes. The truth of the matter is that Nigerians are very gregarious people. Wherever they may be, they want to be seen. They never carry themselves with humility. They are never humble. They flaunt their riches, their wealth, and what have you. Do you remember Lucky Dube, the international musician in South Africa, a reggae musician who was killed not too long ago? Do you know the Southern African people that killed him said they thought he was a Nigerian? And that was the reason they killed him, because he was driving a very expensive car and living a very lavish lifestyle. The kind of what you find with us Poppy, the kind of what you find with the Obi Kubana and the rest of them. So if Nigerians go to some of these communities and begin to behave in the way and manner they behave in Nigeria, it should be expected that they will attach hatred to themselves. That is one suspicion. Or that is one of my suspicions. Furthermore, I am not too sure that most of the embassies that we have in these places and most of the ambassadors that we have in there are doing the right thing. I'm not too sure that they monitor the activities of our people. I'm not sure that they hold meetings with the Nigerian community in those places. I'm not sure that they advise them on the proper conduct and the manner that they should behave when they are in foreign land. I'm not also sure that when Nigerians are being attacked, that the ambassador and the Nigerian government will resist and insist that the host community should not treat us the way they treat us. Too many times we turn a blind eye. We are never bothered. A Nigerian consulate has been put down in Ghana, even when these people knew it was a Nigerian consulate. And what happened? Nothing. Also see the way and manner Nigerian Yahoo boys have all gone to Ghana and are ruining the economy in there, giving the Ghanaian community a bad name internationally. Also look at what the Yahoo boys, Nigerian Yahoo boys are doing in Dubai and some of these other countries, what they do in the US and all that. These are some of the things that are giving us a bad name, that wherever Nigerians find themselves and all that, they are treated with suspicion. Even those who have no criminal inclination, immediately you are carrying a Nigerian passport and you have a Nigerian accent, you are already a suspect. It's not peculiar to Ghana, you know. So we need to ask ourselves questions, do a sober reflection, and know that when we are in a different country, we should comply with all the rules and regulations, with all the laws, and behave as responsible citizens. Some of these countries that we go to do business, like South Africa and Ghana, they are not like Nigeria. They do things by the rule of law. They don't take a lot into their hands. They don't engage in self-help. And they want order. They want neatness. They want the society to be clean. You don't want you to start dumping refuse where you should not dump them.
All right.
If our boys and girls or if our people are sitting in Ghana, I have turned their market to an Igbo market, if they will not pay their taxes and levy, if they want to buy up the whole places without giving some consideration to the whole community, then you can always expect that there will be hostility. We have had such hostility towards Ghanaians in Nigeria before too, when they had the economic challenges and they came to Nigeria. A few communities accommodated them, but there are also hostilities. There were times when we also had them to return to their respective countries. So the ball is in our court. It is only ourselves that can polish our image and ensure that wherever we find ourselves, we are accommodated, respected, and that we comport ourselves in line with the rules, in line with the law, in line with the culture, in line with the law and civilization that we meet on ground in the whole community where we have found ourselves.
All right. Let's see something on the leadership newspapers this morning. Bottom left, it says there, opposition unfair to the APC and President Muhammadu Buhari, and that is from the Progressive Governors Forum. It said the opposition parties are portraying the APC and the president in bad light in spite of the achievements of the current administration. And of course, Progressive Governors Forum are all the APC governors, if you remember them. Of course, the Director General, Dr. Salihu Lukman, is the one speaking here, saying that the opposition is unfair to the APC and President Muhammadu Buhari. Tunde Kolawole, do you agree?
No, I don't agree. While I concede that the APC government had made some efforts to revamp the nation's infrastructure, especially in terms of road network, in terms of reactivating the railway, and then the investments that they have done in agriculture. These are very, very good steps. Even though those also have their own drawbacks. We have been borrowing money to build those infrastructure, and I have always argued, when you borrow money, you invest the money in projects and programs and infrastructure that will be able to pay back the loan. But that is not what we have done. When you also look at the money that has been borrowed, more than 70% of it has ended up in the pockets of politicians, in the pockets of their businessmen friends, and also in running the political parties, especially the party at the center. Well, if you look at all of this, the quantum of money that has been borrowed, the infrastructure that you also have on ground, do they really correlate or do they really tally? There is a gap in between, in my humble opinion. There is a shortfall. Even in that area, we also have seen more development than we have seen. You know, apart from that, you measure the achievement of the government from 2 or 3 perspectives. One is food security. Can we say that Nigerians are not hungry today? The answer or the truth is that most Nigerians are hungry today. Even the president himself, in his independence broadcast, admitted that the prices of foodstuffs have skyrocketed and most staple items have disappeared from the market and from the shelves and all that. So if a nation is unable to provide food for its citizens, then what achievements are you talking about? Furthermore, look at the parallel state of insecurity. Nobody is secured in any part of the country anymore. We have been paying attention to the southeast. But what about southern Kaduna? What about Kogi State? What about Ondo? What about even Edo? Where his brother was killed. Virtually every part of the country is not safe. And it doesn't matter who you are. Look at Dr. Akindele, a philanthropist, a committed man, a very, very humble man, a man who has put his services at the disposal of the Nigerian people without let or hindrance and without discrimination. See the tragic way in which his life has been snuffed out. Well, we have failed in the area of food security. We have failed in the area of providing security for life and property. What achievements are we talking about? Also look at the parallel state of our educational system. Look at the parallel state of the health system. The medical people are just calling off their strikes now. ASU is also gearing or roaring to go on another strike. Right. Almost about 2 million pupils graduate from secondary school on a yearly basis, and less than 750,000 of them will get admission into universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. In some other countries of the world, people are being begged, people are given incentives to go to university, to go to polytechnics and all that. Here, our children want to go to school. We cannot provide the spaces for them to be able to educate themselves properly. So if you're able to learn who should be the leaders of tomorrow, you don't educate them, what do you expect? You should expect insecurity. You should expect banditry. You should expect criminality. So in that area too, the government of the APC have failed very, very woefully.
Right.
Also look at the environment like Lagos. See how dirty the environment has become. Also look at the jobs. The International Labour Organization, then we have almost about 33% of people unemployed people. Nigeria is also being described as the world capital of poverty in the whole world, in spite of the fact that this government says it's going to take 100 million people out of poverty.
All right.
In spite of all their paper money,
we'll
in
need to
spite
wrap
of all
it
the
up
other
here.
schemes they have rolled out. The truth of the matter is
Thank you very much, Tunde Kolawole.
Pick up and do what is expected to be done. They haven't turned around, they haven't done anything laudable for any Nigerian, for any of the other political parties to begin to clap for them.
Okay. Tunde Kolawole, always interesting to listen to you, of course, on Monday mornings. Thank you very much for joining us today, and of course, we wish you a very interesting week ahead.
We must tell the children the truth all the time.
Absolutely.
No matter whose horse is God. It isn't like that matters, but the quality you put into it.
All right, we'll take a short break. When we come back, still on The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa, we're going back to 2017 to tell you what happened on this day in history somewhere in Niger Republic. We'll be back.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the results of tomorrow's election. You have it already, have you?
I am not hungry. If I need appointment, all I need to do is to start praising government.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
The moment we stop having charlatans occupy political offices, we will curtail hate speech.
Plus Politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know.
Welcome once again to The Breakfast. Now let's go back in history to this day, the 4th of October in 2017. A sad day, of course, in Niger, but it doesn't just concern the Niger Republic, it also concerns the United States, because it was on this day that there was something called the Tongo ambush, where Islamic State militants had ambushed a group of Nigerian and U.S. military officers, and of course led to the killing of 5 Nigerians and 4 U.S. soldiers. At least 21 ISGS militants were also killed, and 8 Nigerians and 2 U.S. soldiers, including the team commander, were wounded. In the day preceding the ambush, the Nigerian and U.S. soldiers conducted a mission attempting to locate and capture or kill Dundu Shefu, who was the commander of the Islamic State of West Africa, basically, or one of those terrorist groups. The ambush sparked political debate over the presence of U.S. forces in Africa, which of course has been on the, has been in whispers. Not very many people knew that they were in that part of the world. And of course, it remained also one of the largest loss of American lives in combat in Africa since 1993 in a battle in Mogadishu. If you've seen the movie Black Hawk Down, then you should know what I'm talking about. A number of American soldiers that lost their lives in Somalia in 1993. After that, of course, this story is the largest number of American lives, American soldiers that have been lost in battle in Africa. The team leader and the 4 Nigerian soldiers continued their flanking movement until they were spotted, or rather they were stopped by a body of water while they were being chased, at which point they identified and engaged the enemy across the water, killing approximately 4 combatants. But of course, it still didn't stop the killing of these Nigerian and U.S. Soldiers. The militants, according to reports, had arrived with a dozen technical and about 20 motorcycles and were equipped with small arms. The vehicles were mounted with heavy machine guns, rocket-propelled grenades, and mortars, and of course, eventually dealt a huge blow to the U.S. Army, who was stationed in Niger, and of course, the Nigerian soldiers. So this happened in Niger Republic on this day in 2017. It's called the Tongo ambush. Stay with us. Our first major conversation of the day comes up next. Southeast governors are meeting over insecurity. What discussions must be had with the Southeast governors, traditional leadership, and Ohaneze Ndigbo? That comes up right after this short break.
There has to be a decision point. The way your baby's presenting, we have to rush you in. And my partner at the time was like, "You going to cut her? Are you going to cut her? Is it going to leave a scar?" And I said, "Am I a belly dancer? What is the problem here?"
No, I'm vulnerable about the future of the children, the future of mine and the future of the generation of my children.
I want to have nude pictures taken.
Of you?
Yes,
Yeah,
but
we
without
had that
showing my private parts. I want to put it in my front room. And they said, "You can't do that. People will be embarrassed when they came into your house." I said, "Well, it's my body and it's my front room."
All the things that we do, what is the purpose of it?
I just realized that I was more trusting before I was 6.
So many women, they just feel like I have to cook for my husband, I have to breastfeed my children, I have to pick them from school.
Because society expects
Then you
them
go
to.
home and you cry and you stop your career, you can't do anything, then you blame everybody. You took that choice.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Welcome to your favorite program, The Moment of Truth, brought to you by the Citadel Global Community Church. Our God is a God of salvation, far above all principality and power, and might and dominion, that regardless of what happens in this season, you will escape. Say to your neighbor, there is no peace for the wicked. The lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting, but diligence is a man's precious possession. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might.
Moment of Truth with Pastor Tunde Bakare, Sundays, 7 p.m. on PlusTvAfrica.
Welcome once again to The Breakfast here on Plus TV Africa. Our first major conversation for today moves to the Southeast, where the Southeast governors will be meeting along with Onez Ndigbo and traditional leadership in the Southeast to discuss very, very vital and important issues. Mostly, well, I'm guessing one of the things that they will be bringing up is the security challenges currently the Southeast is currently dealing with. We are joined this morning by Mr. Chukwuma Okenwa, who's a public affairs analyst and entrepreneur. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, pleasure.
All right. And we also have Bosinde Araikbe, who's joining us, a security expert. Good morning, Mr. Araikbe.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
We're very well. Thanks for joining us. All right. I'm going to start with Mr. Okenwa and get your views, first of all, on how important you think this meeting is between the Southeast governors and, you know, the political traditional leadership in the Southeast. Is it, you know, a little too late, or is it perfect timing that these discussions are had?
Well, it's late, but as he said, better than late than never, because this meeting is one we've anticipated. We've spoken about, we've advised on the need for governors to meet and, of course, have a timely conversation on how to stem the tide with respect to the rising security challenges in the Southeast. Unfortunately, they have kept a blind eye while we see businesses collapse, businesses crippled in the Southeast, and no one seems to be doing anything. So now that perhaps after about 6 weeks of losing the first work week, in a week, they are now thinking of meeting together. I think it's commendable. But I do hope that they come up also with conversations that are timely and that are expected, rather than maybe like touching on every other issues, apart from the major one that we have to ensure that businesses are restored back to normalcy in the Southeast.
All right. Mr. Araikwe, you're a security expert. Share with us what you think the focus of this discussion should be. Mr. Araikwe, can you hear us?
Okay, I can hear you now.
All right. I'm saying that you're a security expert, so I want you to share with us what you think the focus of these conversations should be between the Southeast governors and traditional rulership.
Okay, I think the focus for this meeting is security. Because the security situation in the Southeast now is deteriorating. And the focus for this meeting is how to security. Then it shouldn't just be security of that has to do with feelings and heart. We should also focus on the other areas of security, such as food security. Food security, they should focus on economic security. These are very important angles of security because the current insecurity in that area has threatened investors, business, livelihood, and even the locals. So the governors are doing well together, but they should try and ensure that these difficulties that are keeping this money is properly considered and widely discussed with an action point.
Okay, go on, but I want you to share from your, the knowledge that you have as a security expert. What do you think is currently going on in the Southeast? Are these elements of the IPOB, or are these really just criminal elements who have taken advantage of the IPOB narrative and the lack of security infrastructure in the Southeast?
I think criminal elements have taken advantage of the IPOB campaign, and everything is done on the head of IPOB. You understand? That's what I think. I also think why we did currently in Anambra is because of the election that is coming. I was hoping that at this time our politicians should have been matured enough to avoid violence in their political activity. But as it is now, what is around success, they
as a personal and outsider view, one can only suspect that the hand of politics is wrong, especially in that of Anambra. And since they have a name they can bring very easily, they carry it on and bring it on that name. So I believe that the Southern leader is sincere to themselves. They are not fighting anybody. They have so much power to do their area. So they should try to utilize their power properly. If they are having a security challenges, they should be able to manage themselves. People are a people of culture. They have strong culture, they have a good business mentality. Anything that will jeopardize their business, they always stay away from it. But this time, they have allowed personal and selfish interest, political affiliations, to allow them to overlook their number one stuff, which is the business lifestyle of the people that has made them so rich and so independent and negotiating on the platform of political tenors and affiliations. So it is very, very important that the Southerners realize this and understand that they are not alone and violence is not part of them.
All right, hold on, Mr.
However,
Rakpe.
it is also important for them to keep making their point known to the Nigerian government. To always keep Nigerian government on its toes and to make sure that the government of the Federal Republic is able to fulfill the election promises to all regions, whether in the South East or in the North, and that there should not be any sentimental governmental activity in this country. So I think they should keep pushing for what they deserve, but they should respect their land. That's what I think.
All right, hold on, Mr. Rakpe. Chukwuma Okenwa, let me go back to you now to also get your views on what exactly might be going on, because we've had very, very sad stories from the Southeast in the last couple of weeks. The biggest shock, of course, would be the killing of Dr. Chike Akunyili. But that is just one of dozens of different incidents. Joe Igbokwe's house, of course, was affected over the weekend. So I want you to share your thoughts on what you think might be going on. Are these IPOB elements that seem to be wreaking havoc, or criminal elements who have taken advantage of the narrative in the Southeast and are going after who they think benefits from the government?
I think one of the things that is happening of lately is that some enemies of the Southeast are trying to create a southern version of the eastern narrative in the north. We know that the northeast is largely, a kind of tackled with insecurity. They are faced with the challenge of insecurity, and that has, of course, limited the region for years. And that's exactly what is fast becoming. Honestly, when I look at the way the IPOB agitation started and what it has turned into.
Mr. Akewa, we seem to have lost sound from your end. All right, we need to reconnect with Chukwuma Okenwa there. Mr. Rakpe, can you still hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. It's a very, very difficult situation, and I know that the Southeast governors will be, on their toes, I believe, to ensure that they sort these things out. But can you address also the failure of the IPOB in being able to clarify exactly who these people are that have created all the chaos and the tension in the Southeast? Because they've always put out statements saying that these are not their members.
I can hear you clearly.
Can you hear me clearly now?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm asking, do you think that the IPOB itself has also failed when they put out statements denouncing these actions and these, crimes that are being committed? Do you think that they should do better if they want anyone to believe that they're not the ones responsible?
Well, I think the IPOB coming out to denounce the attack that they are not the one responsible, first of all, to them, it's a way of trying to get members of the public to still be in support of their fight. That is for those that are supporting them. They are trying to make sure that their fan base, their support base is not clouded with rumors of attacking harmless and innocent civilians in their agitation process for a self-independent entity. And that's what I think they are doing. But personally, and they're generalizing it, I think it's not of any use. It's not of any use because right now, because of their previous antecedents, anything regarding insecurity, the IPOB will be an scapegoat for security agencies to end their investigation and look for an easy way out, whether they are the one perpetrating it or not. But however, for a group like IPOB to tell you we are not the one that has done this, I think it is actually true. Because if they have done it, they will not deny it. In the fact, the attacks they have carried out, ones that they are responsible for, they have always manned up to this.
Okay.
And the ones that they are not, they have seen that it will bring a bad name to their fight, so they always come out to dislodge false information from the public concerning them. But what I think that should be happening now is this. I think IPOB should focus more on getting international support rather than allowing some certain form of economic insecurity that has been affecting especially the Igbo people. You know, when you shut down the whole of the region, you are shutting down a full economic hub that benefits the locals more. And there is very little message you send to the Nigerian government. You see, when you shut down the Igbo state, the Nigerian government is not shut down. When you shut down the Igbo state, Lagos is the real import and export center. The north has most of the state. There are roads that people can still go to the north, go to every other part of the country, from other places outside of your area. So when you shut down your place, you shut down local people, you shut down local business, you shut down Mama Nkechi, who survives from her kiosk. You shut down Uncle Emeka, who is trying to take pieces from that is business. You do not affect any Musa, you do not affect Delhi, you do not affect any Aideni, and you do not accept any kind of you only affect a maker and Ngozi. That's the truth. So you must look for better and more reliable, innovative ways that will command the support of every local person in the Igbo land. If you must push what you are pushing. But anyone that will be jump back and be as detrimental as the current activities that make them sit at home is, I think they should stop that.
All right. All right, hold on, Mr. Raipe.
Biased mind in the mind of members of the public, especially the Igbo people, towards them. So it's already defeating their fight. That is what I think.
Okay.
And I think the Nigerian government should also
Mr. Raipe, kindly hold on.
What is going on and get properly involved.
All right, kindly hold on. I want to bring back Chukwuma Okenwa. Mr. Okenwa, can you hear us clearly now?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, so go ahead with your thoughts on, what you think might be going on in the Southeast. And then I want you to, wrap it, move into talking about something that I had spoken about before, and that is questioning who really is in charge of the Southeast. Who do the people really listen to? Is it the leadership, the, political leadership? Is it the traditional leadership? Is it Ohaneze and Igbo? Who really do they listen to? And, that would help us determine what the use of this Southeast Governors meeting would be. But go ahead.
Sadly, at the moment, the people have lost the confidence in the elected leadership. And we see a hijack by non-state actors. Like every morning in the Southeast, like over the weekend, people are wondering, what did IPOB say? Are we returning to work on Monday? Will there be work? And that is quite disappointing for that leadership gap. And that's part of one of the things we want them to look at tomorrow, how they can actually bridge that gap, that leadership gap, for losing people to the extent that, people could, I prefer to follow the instruction of non-state actors above the elected leadership. I mean, it really calls for concern. And then based on the issue of who actually is in charge, who is responsible for all of this, like I did mention before, it has gone beyond IPOB, but enemies of the Southeast are actually working against the interest of the region. So thank you so much.
Explain exactly what that means. Enemies of the Southeast working against the interests of the Southeast. What does that mean?
Yes, of course, I see some interest, like already before now, we've seen, just like in terms of even from Ab initio, when we saw peaceful protests, it was a case of like treating one region of the country as more important than the others. One region, you have like some certain behaviors, you treat it with all of the full military might. In some other cases, we see negotiations and all of it. So I see that the way the presidency and the FG has handled this issue have not shown fairness and equity, because one word that we see even from the IPOB in terms of extremism was created by the government unwittingly, based on the way it handled this matter. And I see that the North has certain interest. Like I did mention before, they want to create an eastern version of the South, right? Just like you have the northeastern version of the North, you know. So which should not be so.
Okay, so what you're saying is that some of these people that are committing these crimes, arson, burning down DSS offices, FRSC offices, attacking police officers, murdering people in the Southeast, may be orchestrated by interest from outside the Southeast and not the IPOB.
That's exactly. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, now tell me more about what you think the Southeastern governors can achieve. If you've already stated that they are not necessarily in charge of, the Southeast, political leadership, is not necessarily in charge, what can they achieve with these discussions? Would they be seeking more security work or more assistance from security agencies in the Southeast?
They need to work on the mind of the people, come up with a strategy to work on the mind of the people, regain their confidence, and with that, the Saudis can move forward. People should be able to take instruction from elected leaders, not from non-state actors.
How possible is that going to be, seeing that these are the same people that have been there, for the last 6 years?
It is possible. There is what they have not done, and that is to engage in dialogue. With dialogue, they can actually achieve a whole lot by launching, of course, a strategic psychological operations to work on the mind of the citizens.
All right, Mr. Araikwe, can you hear us clearly?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, so Mr. Okenwa believes that, some of the people who are committing these atrocities in the Southeast are, not necessarily people, or rather they have been supported by forces outside the Southeast to create a similar situation like what we've seen in Northeast Nigeria. Do you agree that there is that possibility?
Yes, because the Igbo people do not manufacture art. So I agree. You see, the only challenge why the people will largely be on IPOB is because it's a result of their agitation. You understand me? But as for those currently participating in the class, I also strongly suspect that there are a lot of external pressures from all parts of the country. Just like the other speaker has said, it creates something similar to the situation of the North as an excuse for politics. But however, the IPOB members have very strong hold of the Eastern region. And at this point, I think they have to indicate themselves properly by ensuring that everybody who is a scholar that has been part of this, whether they know or they do not know them, but that they are able to keep them out, do their investigation, get proper evidence, publish it in the media, recommend handover places to the government, so that the public will see them that they are not the perpetrators of this crime. Because to men and members of the public is concerned, it is IPOB. And that is bad for what they are doing. So at this point, they have to fight this crime. Because one way or the other, it is linked to them. But as for external forces, it is true. And not only in this island, even in Iraq, even in Afghanistan, everywhere. Once there is a war, once there is an interest, once there is an situation, there are people whose job is to profit from it. One of the things to do is to ensure it does not end. And I think that's the situation slowly coming into the IPOP situation of the Southeast. And that is the situation already in North, where you have Boko Haram. Now, you have ICR, you have Sandy, you have Eric. It is now a business. We don't have negotiators. We are free. It's not a proper business. When you basically need to make supplementary tax and really business. So if IPOP does not properly strategize to the interest of the local sector and the protection of their region, you just will see another knot in the car.
Okay, well, I'll first of all say it's not very clear getting feed from you, Mr. Raipe. I'm not sure why, but we're struggling to hear exactly what you're saying. But I would keep it going. I want you to also share your thoughts on why it seems almost impossible, or the security agencies in the Southeast have not been able to address these challenges. If houses can be so easily burnt, if police stations can be attacked so easily, FRSC office, even the DSS office can be so easily attacked, and we've not seen any arrests, we've not seen any work by security agencies to capture these persons. What does that tell you, Mr. Raipe? Mr. Raipe, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, you're talking to me.
Yes.
Okay. Well, the security agencies, the truth is that they are limited. We all know that Nigerian security agencies are not well funded and equipped to run a normal, violence-free society. How much more a very intense environment where you even have people on arms at that level. And security agencies are not equipped to even do normal, ordinary investigation that has to do with peace fighting. How much more in a hostile situation like this? They are not equipped. And even if they are equipped, we don't see them making good progress. Because this is where state police comes in. So long as members of the security agency, a lot of them in this part of the country are not indigenous. If they begin to work properly and begin to do exceedingly great, it will be attributed to the fact that because they are not indigenous, they are harming the indigenous and doing this and that. And as they are not working as I know, and as they are not equipped as I know, it will be seen as if the Nigerian state can't protect her people. So they are caught in between the devil and the deep blue sea. There is very little they can do. But however, those that are posted to that area, if I may advise the security agency, I will advise them to go local. I will advise them to go intelligently. I will advise them to build a strong intelligence network. I will advise them to be more of peace brokers in this situation, other than crime fighters. Because if they want to go head to head, I am not sure that they can, both in will and in performance and in equipment. You understand me? Innocent people just end up paying too much price. So I think there should be more of these builders at this point. It will also help limit casualties that would have befallen them if they are able to choose this idea of being a bridge builder.
Okay, but I am, well, I don't know if I would agree that, they of course, yes, they have their, weaknesses here and there, security agencies. But to be completely silent, is what a lot of people may not agree with. So maybe we would assume they're working, behind the scenes, to see how they can address these challenges. But if weeks after we still haven't seen any arrests or we still haven't seen any, proper work being done, then it might mean something entirely different. Mr. Raipe, I also want you to share your thoughts on funding, Because these elements, these criminal elements, seem to be getting support somehow, some way, either from, you know, ammunition or funding or petrol or vehicles. But there's definitely something that is funding these attacks. So what do you think it might be?
Well, I think funding. First of all, I am not an IPOB member, so I may not know about their funding. And so asking that question about their funding, I think you people should try and reach their spokesman.
I think you didn't get the question right. Mr. Raikwe.
If I make you a little understanding of my view, I will say when people come together to contribute 10 naira, for instance, if there are 1 million persons, you have gotten 10 million naira. That is what I will say. So moving forward, I think the security agencies cannot properly make any arrest. You can only arrest who you know and who you can reach. You can't arrest a spirit. You understand me? These people are not coming out to tell you I can be arrested. No. As I speak to you in Anambra State, I have some people on ground because I'm supposed to visit Anambra this week. I have people on ground. And I'm aware there are some places I intend to visit, some local environment, the local government, Oka, Onitsha, I intend to visit some places. And so these places, their police stations are not functional. And the policemen are telling you we cannot resume to work, we are scared for our life. Is that the same policeman you are asking to make an arrest? Who is he going to arrest? The one who said it? No, and I don't blame him. I don't think it is worth risking his life. He can't be dying carelessly for political mistakes that will be settled tomorrow, and amnesty will be given to killers who have killed military officers, police officers, made their wives widows, killed children, kidnapped them and impregnated them. And then one government will tell me they are giving them amnesty, that we should embrace them. You see? So I don't think it is worth the life of the policeman. Because when he finished performing, whatever security agency, be it the military, be it the Department of State Service, be it the police, I don't think it's worth their life. Because when they finish dying for this situation, tomorrow the government will sit down and everybody will be granted amnesty. And then their children will be suffering with their widowed wives. Nothing to take home. I don't think it's worth their effort.
All right.
I must be sincere with you as a Nigerian.
All right.
It's not worth their effort at all.
Mr.
The
Raikwe,
government knows how to discuss this. The Minister for Labour is an Igbo man from Anambra State. The president should immediately send him back home to talk to his people. That is what happened. That is how they got the amnesty. That is how they got the Niger Delta to become. In those days, the then Vice President Goodluck Jonathan was sent back home to discuss with the people, which he did. And after that, he got peace. So the Minister for Labour, an Igbo man, should be sent back home. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, an Igbo man, should be sent back home. Every minister from the Igbo tribe should be sent back to their state to go and begin to hold discussions and come up with results for the federal government. Because they are the federal representatives from that environment with that to the presidency. So they should all be sent back home to go and settle this issue. They shouldn't be sitting in Abuja and talking. What are they talking? That is the only way we can move ahead forward. Want to move let these politicians with appointments in federal environment be sent back home. Can instruction to absorb these things and bring the solution for all parties. And if they can't, they should be relieved of their position. That is what I will call for. That's the solution. Stop allowing innocent themselves to go and sacrifice themselves for what they do not know. Thank God they are not even pushing us. Thank God they are not even pushing. So their children don't become evil. It's the job of those politicians from those regions who are part of the federal government that these people are talking to now come to do a representation of the federal government by appointment and indigenous of this environment by death and whatsoever.
All right.
That's the only way
I also want to ask.
These agencies can do nothing at this point.
All right, Mr. Raikwe, you've mentioned dialogue and negotiation. There's also, of course, those who would say that force would be a better option. And I'm asking this now because the army has its annual operations across the country. There has been the Python dance in the southeast for a couple of years now. And it's, of course, has released a statement saying that there would be another, the start of another army operation in the southeast. It says here that it's going to be running concurrently in the 2nd, 6th, 81st, and 82 divisions of the Southwest, South-South, and Southeast regions, respectively. Do you think that this might also be the answer, or at least it would create some peace in the Southeast all through the period that these army operations are going to be running?
I have two views. To the people of the people of the Southeast, this will be another oppression against them, aimed at strengthening, trampling on their fundamental human rights. As a military in a democratic setting, will be assuming so much force to carry out operation internally, which is ordinarily the job of the police. And the public, through whoever can sponsor them from the Southeast, will tell this to the international media. And it will again place the federal government and the Nigerian populace in bad light with regard to human rights and abuse, which definitely will happen when the army comes. Two, the second view is this. If the federal government, because the army is the federal government, the president is the commander-in-chief, such cannot happen without his permission. If the army wants to carry out this kind of operation and contemplating the use of force in the Southeast, I want you to know that this same army has been in the north, in all parts of the north, fighting insurgents. With the same force they want to bring to this south, the question is, what is their success story? Have they been able to stop the Boko Haram? Have they been able to stop the Herdsmen? With all this force we used in Borno, is Sambisa not still occupied by the Boko Haram?
You have less than 1 minute for the...
All right. Of course, going through these conversations mostly concerning the issues in the Southeast and what must be done. We are also scheduled to have a conversation with the police public relations officer in Anambra State to share with us, of course, feed from what happened in Nnewi over the weekend and what, is currently being done to create some peace in the Southeast. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we continue conversation with Mr. Raipe just before the PRO joins us. So stay with us here on The Breakfast. We'll be back.
Hello and welcome. It's Nimasa This Week, the voice of maritime. Nimasa This Week is brought to you by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. Statutorily mandated to ensure that there's regulation and promotion of matters affecting our waters. NIMASA bears responsibility for search and rescue, shipping development, and ship registration.
NIMASA This Week, the voice of maritime, showing on this channel.
parties to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
me, I wanted to change that culture. I didn't believe that until you see a white man or you see a foreigner in the kitchen before you can believe that, you know, good food is going to come out of that kitchen.
You can leverage on each other's spaces and, you know, sell. We believe in Nigeria, right? We believe that Nigeria can get better. We, the youth, are the ones that can make it better.
And my products are proudly made in Nigeria.
Made in Nigeria, showing every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. and repeats on Saturday at 8:30 a.m.
Apologize for that short break. We're back, of course, to continue these discussions. We would have to very likely reschedule the conversation with the Anambra State Police Public Relations Officer, who is currently on site at one of the crime scenes in Nnewi. That, of course, we were meant to be discussing. Very likely we'll bring that conversation up tomorrow so we can get, you know, a very, very robust, you know, conversation with the Police Public Relations Officer in Anambra State. But Boston Arakpe has joined us now via Zoom. Good morning once again.
Good morning again. I think it's good to put a face to the voice again.
Okay. Now, so let's continue the conversation and let's move, you know, closer to, well, still in Anambra. Let's go to Nnewi now, where, of course, there were reports that the DSS facility and FRSC office were both attacked and set ablaze. There's still no confirmation about casualties, if any, or how many there are. But this, once again, is, you know, just pure evidence of how deadly these persons are and how weakened the security agencies in the Southeast are currently. How is this not, you know, shouldn't the whole of the Southeast currently see that they are in danger?
Well, the whole of the Southeast have seen that they are in danger since now. They didn't start saying they are in danger today. They've seen that they are in danger for a very long time. They've seen that they are in danger for a very long time. So they know they are in danger. You understand me? So if you say the Southeast should see that they are in danger, that the Southeast has already seen themselves in danger. So I don't think that's what we should be looking at. They know they are in danger already. They know they are in danger already. Glucose. They know they are in danger already. So what we should be looking at right now is how do the Southeast move forward in a secure environment? That's what I think we should be looking at. How do the Southeast move forward in a secured environment? The Southeast knows they are in danger. Now, how do they come out of this danger? It's what we should be addressing. You understand me? Now, you are saying that they are not only attacking police commissions or NSCDC as we know to be. They have proceeded to attack a very important intelligence unit of the government, which is the Department of State Service. Now, this attack has proceeded to their offices, so to attack their facilities. So it's not about this again. How do the people in that region live safely? I'm talking about safely. How do they live safely and secure? What measures are the government going to put in place to secure their citizens they sworn by oath to protect? And who are the citizens the government wants to protect in the first place? Does the government even know these people? That's another thing. Does the government even know these people? That's what we should be talking. Do they know who they want to protect and who they are supposed to arrest? So these are the things we should be looking at. So I think the government should go back to a drawing board, sit down and properly construct an idea that will help them to protect the Southeast now that it is just starting. Number one is this, I repeat, every minister from the Southeast that is appointed by this administration of President Muhammad Buhari should be redeployed back home. The Minister of Labor and Productivity, I think, was a senator, was a governor, Ngige. Mr. Ngige should be deployed back to Anambra State to go and solve this challenge for his people. He should be the middleman between the government and the people of Anambra because he has an appointment from the president. Not only him, every other Igbo appointed minister, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Onyema, those people should be deployed back home to their respective localities.
What kind of conversations, Mr. Raipe, what type of conversations would you say that they should be having with whoever it is that is willing to listen to them in the ranks of the IPOB and these criminal elements?
Whether it is IPOB or whether it is criminal elements, these people are politicians from that state. They are very big. They have control of most of the youths. Else, how did they get the vote? Is it not the youth that voted for them? Fine. They should go back to these people and give them their votes. That is their job. Whatever position, whether you are elected or appointed, you are appointed because you come from a part of this country. So they should go back to that part they come from, where they have enough influence. And now utilize their influence on behalf of the federal government that has appointed them. Become middlemen between the federal government and these places where you come from. You are a federal body by appointment and an indigene by birth or whatsoever means. So that is what I expect the federal government to do. Redeploy every minister, beginning from Minister of Labor and Productivity. Redeploy him now back to his community. Let him go back to Anambra State. The Minister of Labor and Mr. Ngige, the minister should go back to Anambra State and see how to sort out this problem. The minister has a strong hold, not only him, every federal government appointee, especially, I'm marking on the ministers because they have more federal relationship to the presidency direct. They have more federal influence, even much more than the senator in terms of the federal executive. They are the ones in the federal executive. Them and every other person that is given an appointment at the federal level that is recognized by the president, that has access to the president from the Igbo-speaking region, should be redeployed back to his locality to go and see how we can come up with solutions to solve this problem. Because I think the police are not. Now they are attacking VSS. Of course, we know that we have heard stories. So of these boys, even if you go in force with them and you are shooting at them, you might not just penetrate. Your ammunition might just come to naught before them. So at this point, we need people from there who share dual interests. And these ministers share dual interests. By appointment, they share the interests of the federal government in Nigeria. Then by being citizens of this locality, they share the interest and the well-being of these people. So you see, they are the right people now to be sent back to these places to discuss. So that when they go, they know the people to make phone calls to, that can call people, that can call people, that can call people, that can call people. They know how to get messages across. They know how to talk. All of them should be sent back. There are some other influential ones like former governor of Abia State, current senator, Ojus Okalo. Ojus Okalo can be sent also to Abia State. He has a huge follower in Abia State. Every one of them should be sent back home to begin to discuss with their people and then come up with a workable solution to the federal government. This way we will minimize civilian casualties. This way we will be able to pinpoint proper solution that is lasting, coming from the people accepted by the federal government through their representatives, such as ministers, as I've mentioned now. That is the best way to leave this at the ball. If you leave it for the policeman alone to fight, I am not even sure he can fight. If you leave it even for the military, I'm not even sure the military can do it. What have the military done in the north where they left it for them? The police, through DIG Wakama, handed over the battle flag to the police in the north. Till today, have they been able to stop Boko Haram? Instead, while they are there, we are hearing of more killings and more diseases coming up. X-men are coming up, bandits are coming up. The military has not been able to stop them in the north. So what makes you think they can do anything in the south? That is one. Two, the military involvement here will only be a violation of several innocent people's rights, especially women and children. Their rights will be violated. So you see, so these are the things we're looking at. So the government cannot say they want to use force on them. It will not work. The government should use intelligence. And this intelligence should be used properly. But if the government really wants to achieve results, they should redeploy every serving senior government appointee at federal level. And then the president should discuss with those that are within his political kingdom, within his political place. I'm talking of those in the same party with him, especially in states where they have stronghold, like now, currently they are in the Imo State, and Imo State is having these issues. So they should redeploy, talk to them, to go to the grassroots, everybody that is occupying offices, go back to the grassroots and see how to discuss with your people and come up with a change. Okay,
is there any...
for anything. Just if this country finally gets divided, which I do not pray for this country to be divided, sincerely speaking. I love Nigeria. But example, I'm just giving an example. Take for instance, if this country finally gets divided, once the current Minister of Labour and Interior, will he still remain in the Nigeria? Will he not come back to whatever place that it was divided and his environment falls into and his state falls into? Is that not where he will come back? So why not him now being deployed now that nothing has happened, so that he can go and ensure nothing happens? This is how government works.
Right.
This is what was done with Jonathan. And that's why let's came down.
Yeah, let's wrap it up with. Yeah, let's wrap it up with, your thoughts on what you feel the people of the Southeast, is there any role that they can play at a time like this? Because they are the ones being affected. In certain parts of the Southeast, today it's Monday, they will be sitting at home. Businesses are being affected, lives are being affected. Is there any role that these persons in the Southeast can also play to salvage what they call home?
These persons in the Southeast, I have told you about them. They are the minister. They are there. They are the people that should play the role. But for those that are at home, from Mama Nkechi, Uncle Emeka, Auntie Chinyere, and Brother Chibuso, the roles that these people can play is very simple. Number one, whenever there is sit at home, it does not affect the North. The North are doing that thing. It does not even affect the South. We are doing our thing here in River State. It does not even affect Lagos. So Nigeria is moving forward. It is only the Igbo man whom we all know that his major source of livelihood is business that is being affected. You understand me? So it is causing more harm to them than good, since it is not the whole Nigeria that is sitting at home. What I want to advise is that for the localities, when these politicians from Abuja come down and they are ready to make peace, then whatever the local people are doing will make sense. But however, I like to advise the local people to do this. The women are the major parts that can play a role. Mothers, precisely. Widows, women, they should be the ones now. Whatever it is, if they like what is going on, they can sit down, no problem. But if they don't like what is going on, they should now come peacefully, reach out to their children, the ones they can reach out to, and begin to give them reasons why these places must be peaceful. That is for the ones that are being perpetrated by the internal people in this eastern region. I don't want to say any name because I have not seen anybody doing anything. So for the ones that is being perpetrated by the people in the internally in the southeast region, mothers, widows should step up and see how to begin to make calls. If possible, come out. They have a way they come out. They are women. They have done it before. The Aba women riot of the 1921 was part of what led to our independence. So I think these women from the Igbo tribe, they are very influential when they are ready. So we should look for how to encourage the women. If they don't like what is going on, they should speak out for it, but not against their children, but they should turn their children down. That's what I want to advise. By so doing, we should push to the right direction. I think that is what I will advise. At this point, mothers are very important. Mothers are very, very important.
Bossing there, right, we would have to wrap up here.
So these are the people I think.
All right. Thank you very much for your time this morning on phone and via Zoom also. We always love to speak with you and hear your perspective on these issues. We wish you a very interesting week ahead. Looking forward to talking to you again. All right, and this is where we wrap up the conversations this morning on The Breakfast. It's mostly been in the Southeast and getting to understand what exactly is going on over there and what must be done. We'll have a rescheduled conversation with the police public relations officer in Anambra State to get some clarity of what exactly happened over the weekend and what is currently being done to secure the Southeast. If you miss out on any of these conversations, remember to catch up on our social media platforms. It's simply at PlusTvAfrica on Facebook and Instagram. Same with our YouTube channel. I am Osaugie Ogbon. Have a great Monday.
a decision point. The way your baby's presenting, we have to rush you in. And my partner at the time was like, "You going to cut her? Are you going to cut her? Is it going to leave a scar?" And I said, am I a belly dancer? What is the problem here?
No, I'm vulnerable about the future of the children, the future of mine and the future of the generation of my children.
I want to have nude pictures taken. Of you? Yes,
Yeah,
but
we
without
had that
showing my private parts. I want to put it in my front room. And they said, you can't do that. People will be embarrassed when they came into your house. I said, well, it's my body and it's my front room.
All the things that we do, what is the purpose of it?
I just realized that I was more trusting before I was 6.
So many women, they just feel like I have to cook for my husband, I have to breastfeed my children, I have to pick them from school.
Because society expects
Then you
them
go
to.
home and you cry and you stop your career, you can't do anything, then you blame everybody. You took that choice.
Thanks for joining us on Plus News Brief. I am Osaogie Ogbonwa. The Supreme Court is set to hear the originating summons by governors of the 36 states challenging the Executive Order 10 on financial autonomy of the judiciary and legislature signed by President Muhammadu Buhari last year. The 36 state governors had insisted that the president cannot direct the states on the financial autonomy of the judiciary and legislature. They had argued that the order violates provisions of Section 6 and 81, subsection 3, and Item 21E of the Third Schedule to the Nigerian Constitution 1999. They had maintained that these provisions obligated the federal government with the responsibility for funding all capital and recurrent expenditure of the high courts, Sharia courts of appeal, and customary courts of appeal of the states of the Federation of Nigeria, being courts created under Section 6 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has urged President Muhammadu Buhari to withdraw the impermissible conditions imposed on Twitter pending the final determination of the suit at the ECOWAS Court of Justice in Abuja. It disclosed this in a tweet via its Twitter handle on Sunday morning. SERAP is in court challenging the legality of the suspension of Twitter. It said that the withdrawal is to allow the court to render a decision on the central issues in the case and protect the plaintiff's rights and interests. On Friday, President Buhari announced that he had directed a conditional lifting of the ban placed on Twitter. And former Senate President Bukola Saraki has aired his opinion on the lingering issues concerning restructuring of Nigeria. Many Nigerians, groups, and individuals believe that the country must be restructured to bring about equity and justice to all its regions, with some people even insisting that that is the only way Nigeria can still stay together as a unit. But fielding questions during an Independence Day luncheon in commemoration of Nigeria's 61st independence anniversary held in Abuja at the weekend, Saraki advised Nigerians to rather seek to be better governed.
Today we're going to Europe once, we're going to different institutions. That's not the time, that's not where we should go. The reason why we can't go to the place we should go is because we don't want to do these things. First subsidy. The amount, I mean, in 20 when I was senator, I screamed about this. Those that know it's a racket. How can you say in Nigeria we are consuming close to 60 million liters? How? Where? How is that possible? So it's just a few people. Meanwhile, the whole country is paying for it. By the time you put your subsidy bill on the table, there's no way money can go for any infrastructure. We need to take those hard decisions. We need to take the same decision just on the short term exchange.
And also in the news, another village in the local government of Zangon Kataf has been attacked and 2 persons killed. Soldiers reported the incident in Ngwan Taylor village, and the deceased have been identified as 2 women. The Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aduwan, says Governor Nasir El-Rufai has received the report of the attack and expressed deep regret. The security situation in southeastern Nigeria is getting dire by the day, with an attack on multiple locations in the industrial city of Nnewi reported yesterday. Gunmen operated in 4 vehicles burnt a car belonging to the Department of State Services, shot at the offices of the Federal Road Safety Corps, and attacked Nnamdi Azikiwe Teaching Hospital. Witnesses say 2 people were killed, including a man trying to video record the gunmen. The attackers left Nnewi before the military arrived. The Police Public Relations Officer of Anambra State Command will be speaking with us on these issues on the breakfast tomorrow morning. And during the attack in Nnewi, the home of the APC chieftain Joe Ibokwe was also set ablaze. The Lagos-based politician is alleging that the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, carried out the attack. He has written on Facebook that CCTV footage shows the arsonists floating cans of petrol from their vehicle. Ibokwe has been critical of IPOB and only recently accused the group of killing Dr. Chike Akunyili, the husband of late former NAFDAC Director General Dora Akunyili. Still talking security, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, is set to inaugurate 3 new security exercises nationwide. Golden Dawn, Enduring Peace, and Still Water are meant to ensure Nigerians are safe in the last quarter of the year. A statement from the Army indicates that troops on the exercises will check all forms of criminality and allow for free movement of persons. All the exercises will be symbolically launched in Enugu tomorrow. Still in the news, a human rights activist and senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, wants the media and Nigerians to stop calling terrorists bandits. He made the appeal in his reaction to the federal government's reluctance to declare the criminal groups kidnapping persons in northern Nigeria as terrorists. In a statement, Falana referenced the Chibok kidnappers, who were quickly branded terrorists, as well as IPOB. He wants the government to do the same about killers and kidnappers in the northwest. His call is coming less than a week after the Senate urged President Muhammadu Buhari to declare bandits as terrorists. And as Nigeria marks its 61st independence anniversary, despite the challenges of the country, Nigerians have expressed their hopes and aspirations. Citizens hope for change in key sectors of the country.
1st October is a significant date in the history of Nigeria because it marks Nigeria's proclamation of independence from British rule. The celebration for 2021 was marked with a ceremonial parade in various states across the country. In the midst of various challenges faced by the country, some quarters are hopeful and expectant. Richard Inoyo, Country Director of Citizen Solution Network, speaks of his expectation as Nigeria celebrates 61 years of independence.
The improvements within the energy quality we have in the country. As it is today, what we currently have is around less than 4,000 megawatts, and that energy is not sufficient. So we need to focus on building the right energy volume, and which is currently kept around 324,000 megawatts. The energy as a requirement for us to power industrial, commercial, and residential objective, so as to drive the Nigerian economy into the right productivity outcome.
Like every other year, while some are dissatisfied with the socioeconomic conditions of the country, along with the high unemployment rates and worsening insecurity, which has led many Nigerians to voluntarily migrate out of the country, others are still expectant.
My dream and aspiration for Nigeria is a Nigeria that will work for everyone. A Nigeria that where other countries can even come to Nigeria and do transact business and do so many things. A Nigeria that will obey the rule of law, that equality before the law, impartiality, law and order, and no one is above the law.
A Nigeria of my dream is a Nigeria whereby there will be a job opportunity for all and sundry. Because if you look at what is going on in the country today, you see a graduate, after acquiring certificate, they are all in the labor market doing nothing.
They should make things possible for us so that we can pay for our children's education. Now when we go to the markets, we cannot buy things. Like now you can see me, I'm going to fill gas. Before I used to fill it 1,200. Now it's 2,000.
Say commodity is not moving normal. We want the commodity to be changed. Price of market will come down so that as poverty like we see everything to use to train children.
Be it in the life of an individual or a nation, there is need for reflection of the highs and lows and necessary action afterwards. Messi Ebokbo for Plus TV Africa.
Thanks to Mercy Ebokbo for that report. Still in the news, indigents of the Oke-Ogun geopolitical zone in Oyo State have advised politicians from the zone to unite among themselves to ensure that they produce the next governor of the state.
The indigents spoke during the 14th National Congress of the National Association of Shaki Elite, themed Power in Unity, held at Shaki Town Hall. Okogun Zone, which has 10 out of 33 local government areas, is yet to produce the governor of the state since its creation in 1976. The indigents have, however, advised politicians from the zone to rally around themselves, unite and speak with one voice in order to ensure that they produce the next governor in 2023.
In unity, you stand to achieve a lot. But in disunity, definitely there won't be any progress. And that's why we always tell people in any forum we go that it is always better to de-emphasize issues that have great, tremendous centrifugal potentials, issues that can disunite the community or the society. In whatever manifestation it comes, please let's try to de-emphasize it.
But the situation we find ourselves, not only in Oyo State, but in Nigeria, is such that it's a matter of winner takes all. It's not going to be a tea party. All I can urge our politicians is that to actualize it, they need to be united. Because there has been a lot of times when there's what they call divide and rule. If our politicians are united, it will become easier.
It has been a very long time when we have been longing for having a governor of ours from Oke-Ogun. We will lend our support to any Oke-Ogun credible, reliable, and a person of integrity from Oke-Ogun that comes up to be governor.
They noted that the zone has prominent individuals, politicians, and political gladiators who are qualified to govern the state.
And still in the news, a new car and 650,000 naira have been presented to a 400-level medical student from Osun State, Victor Adeyemo, who emerged grand winner of the second edition of the Osun Independence Day essay competition and prize presentation. 50 participants took part in the competition, with 25 from various secondary schools in the state and 25 Osun indigents from different tertiary institutions across the country.
The competition was held in Osogbo on the instance of the State Ministry of Regional Integration and Special Duties as part of activities to mark Nigeria's Independence Day. The grand winner of the tertiary institutions category, Victor Adeyemo, got a car and 650,000 naira, while the first runner-up got 300,000 naira, a laptop, and a printer.
This competition is fair, and I like that the judging and the assessment was done timely. So I'd like to say to everyone out there that keep pushing. I have participated in a lot of competition. I have lost many, but then to God's glory, I won today's one. So try, don't stop trying. It can be your opportunity.
And I'm so delighted, and the message I'm passing across, even to students like me, is that hard working actually pays. It really pays. It's good to be hardworking, and not even working hard alone, working effectively, because you can be working hard and at the end you won't get any tangible results. It's good to be hard, to be working, to work effectively, not just to be hardworking, working effectively and working smart, and also putting one's trust in God. It really pays.
Similarly, the grand winner of the secondary schools category got about 400,000 naira and a laptop, including other gifts, while all the finalists got 10,000 naira from the state government and other stakeholders. Commissioner for Regional Integration and Special Duties, Lekon Badmos, said the competition is to encourage and promote the culture of education, particularly reading, writing, and public speaking, as well as to spark healthy rivalry in education pursuits among the youths.
Education is not only learning of facts, but training of mind to think. Today, our dear state has assembled a sizable population of youths to think and suggest probable solutions to the challenges facing us as a nation. To some people, this might not sound interesting, as the Osun State government has thought out of the box and moved away from the conventional march past to this assemblage.
The second student discussed the Osun State 30th anniversary and the future ahead, my perspective, while the tertiary students discussed security architecture, challenges and solutions in all the geographical zones of Nigeria. Chairman of the occasion, retired Lieutenant General Lamidi Adeosun, lauded government and other stakeholders for supporting academic careers towards positive engagement, stressing that Nigerians should eschew placing all blames on government.
Security in our state, in our homes, in everything today, is not solely the responsibility of the federal government. No, it is a collective responsibility. And as of today, many of our problems stem from us.
The maiden edition of the competition was held last year on October the 1st.
And now to stories in other parts of Africa. The family of Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta, that has dominated the country's politics since independence, secretly owned a network of offshore companies for decades, according to a huge leak of financial papers. The Kenyatta's offshore investments, including a company with stocks and bonds worth $30 million, were discovered among hundreds of thousands of pages of administrative paperwork from the archives of 14 law firms and service providers in Panama and the British Virgin Islands, and other tax havens. The secret assets were uncovered by an investigation published earlier on Sunday by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, ICIJ, Finance Uncovered, Africa Uncensored, and other news organizations. Documents show that a foundation called Varies was set up in 2003 in Panama, naming Mr. Kenyatta's mother, Ngina, 88 years, as the first benefactor, and Kenya's leader as the second benefactor, who would inherit it after her death. And the United Nations Multi-Dimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in Mali, MINUSMA, a peacekeeper, has been killed and 3 seriously injured following the explosion of an improvised explosive device in northeast of Mali. The head of the UN mission, El Ghassim Wane, announced on Saturday on his Twitter account that it was a MINUSMA vehicle that hit an improvised explosive device near Tessalit of Kidal region. In recent weeks, the UN mission has been a target of several attacks in northern Mali. On September 11th, 3 MINUSMA peacekeepers were injured by an explosive device near its camp in Kidal. Since 2012, Mali has been facing a profound, multifaceted crisis at security, political, and economic levels. Moving outside Africa now, North Korea has restored communication lines with the South months after it caught a cross-border hotline. The move comes days after the country's leader, Kim Jong-un, said he was willing to restore communication as a conditional olive branch. However, Pyongyang also said the restoration of their relationship was dependent on the attitude of South Korean authorities. North Korea has also recently been ramping up its military tests. It has fired 4 missiles in less than a month, a sign that it has no intention of slowing down its arms development. On Monday morning, South Korea's Unification Ministry said officials from both Koreas exchanged their first phone call since August. And a Swedish cartoonist who sketched the Prophet Muhammad's head on a dog's body has died in a traffic accident. Laz Vilks was reportedly traveling in a civilian police vehicle which collided with a truck near the town of Markaryd in southern Sweden. 2 police officers were also killed and the truck driver was injured. Vilks, 75 years, lived under police protection after being subjected to death threats over the cartoon. The cartoon, which was published in 2007, offended many Muslims who regarded visual representation of the Prophet as blasphemous. It came a year after Danish newspaper published cartoons of the Prophet, and police have not revealed the identity of those killed in Sunday's incident. But Vilks' partner confirmed his death to the newspapers. People affected by Hurricane Grace in Mexico have stormed an official event led by President Andrés Manuel López Obrador. Videos posted on social networks and local media show dozens of people pushing their way through the door of a hall in the municipality in the central state of Puebla, where the president and officials were reporting on the delivery of aid to victims. In August, Grace hit the Gulf of Mexico coast as a powerful Category 3 hurricane and caused 8 deaths and damage in several states in the east and center of the country. In the official live broadcast, protesters were seen approaching the president and asking to speak with him. López Obrador stood up from his chair and took the microphone and asked them to remain silent. Later, he promised them that officials would attend to them to review their demands. And now to business news. The Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission will today begin the review of the current revenue allocation formula for governments across the country with a 2-day public hearing in Lagos. The Southwest public hearing will begin nationwide consultations, which is expected to lead to a new revenue sharing formula for the country. The states expected to participate are Lagos, Ekiti, Oyo, Ogun, Ondo, and Osun. Under the current sharing arrangement, the federal government takes 52.68% of the revenue shared. The states get 26.72%, while the local governments get 20.60%. The current review will focus on vertical allocation, which covers allocation to the federal, states, and local governments and does not imply a reduction in the cost of governance. And to entertainment news now, White Money, the housemate of the just concluded television reality show Big Brother Naija Season 6, Shine Your Eye edition, has emerged winner of the show. This was announced by the moderator of the show, Ebuka Obi-Uchendu, during the live grand finale show on Sunday. White Money has won 90 million naira worth of prizes. Liko Rose emerged the first runner-up for the Season 6 edition of the reality show. Big Brother commended the resilience and commitment of the last 6 housemates, Perry, Ibano, White Money, Angel, Liko Rose, and Cross. Biggie described Angel as the hottest girl in the house and Cross as the life of the party. He also described Liko Rose as a dancer extraordinary and Perry, a laughter-turned finalist, the general. He also described White Money as the resident chef and Emmanuel as Mr. Africa. Well, congratulations to White Money. And still in the news, supermodel Naomi Campbell has taken to the runway in the Lanvin Spring-Summer display during Paris Fashion Week in a comic strip-inspired show. Lanvin creative director Bruno Cialeni said he was inspired by comic strips for the show, which kicked off with draped dresses and ensembles with pop art. It ended with Campbell wearing an all-black outfit with a long black cape. Dozens of brands are holding in-person fashion shows during the Paris Fashion Week, which runs through October 5th. In sports now, Bayern Munich suffered their first defeat of the season and their first Bundesliga home loss to Eintracht Frankfurt in 21 years when Philipp Kostic drilled home an 83rd minute goal to earn the visitors a shock 2-1 victory on Sunday. Kostic picked up the ball on the edge of the box, charged forward and beat goalkeeper Manuel Neuer with a powerful low drive to seal Eintracht's first win of the season and snap Bayern's 9-game winning run in all competitions. The Bavarians had only themselves to blame for not killing off the game earlier with a string of golden chances, but still remain on top of the table with 16 points ahead on goal difference of Bayern Leverkusen, who crushed Armenia 4-0 with 2 goals from Czech striker Patrick Schick. Borussia Dortmund and Freiburg a point behind in 3rd and 4th respectively. And that's the news brief. For more stories, please follow us at PlusTvAfrica on Facebook and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. I am Osao Gie Ogbawa. Thanks for watching.